Welcome back, everybody, to another edition of Shop Talk. Today, we're going to be talking about subnetting and why it's so important to be proficient at it. This is a really important topic. Most people kind of jump into the fires of subnetting, struggle with it for a bit, and then get comfortable, and they feel like they're ready to go take their skills and use it to pass a test. And today, we're going to tell you a little bit about why that may not be the case. So it's really important. A lot of people go through this process and just forget to dot their I's and cross their T's, and they end up failing their test. So if you haven't taken your test yet and you're jumping into subnetting, this is a good talk for you, and I hope you get a lot out of it. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Laz.
Hello, thank you, Joe. Hello, everybody. Subnetting is extremely important. Anything to do with IP is extremely important. Not only for the test, because you need to be able to subnet, summarize, do VLSM, any kind of IP questions, you should be able to answer under a minute, hopefully under 30 seconds, so you can give yourself more time to answer the more difficult questions like DMVPN, GRE, Ether channel, HSRP, STP, things of that nature. So subnetting should be your alphabet. It should be second nature to you. And it's going to, in order for it to become a second nature to you, you need to practice, 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 and practice. Now, not only is it important in the certification, but in real world. I have ran into many technicians that rely on calculators left and right. Well, guess what? When you go to that Prometric Center to take your test, you can't use a calculator. It's got to be your noggin in order for you to answer the question. So I'm going to share with you real quick, but before I do, I'm going to tell you the trick. It's the subnet mask. Everything is based on the subnet mask. Okay, but I'm going to show you something real quick. I'm going to share my screen. Okay, and I'm going to share it now. All right, I'm going to share that one. I'm going to start it. Now, hopefully you can see this, and Joel, let me know if everybody can see this.
Just one sec. Okay, we're good.
All right, awesome. This is how Cisco likes to hide an IP question. All right, you have the following OSPF configuration. If you configured OSPF in the past, you know you put the network, a wildcard mask, and then obviously the area, right? I should have put in the area, and let's just do it for the sake of the configuration and say area 0, okay? And then it would be which of the following, okay, interfaces fall within this range. And then they give you an A, B, C, D, and then they give you several interfaces and IP addresses. So how do you know what the range is here? Very simple. This is your network ID, because you got to put the network ID in the configuration. Your wildcard mask is your broadcast. So what you do is you add this and this. That gives you what? 127. So I added the 64. There I am. Plus the 63. That gives me 127. So by adding those two numbers, I know now that my range is between 64 and 127. So we know automatically that this can be it, because that's going to be a broadcast. So it's not 0. That's a network ID. And 49 is just way too low to be in this range. So what is the only possible answer? 65. So that is where the trick comes in. If they give you something straightforward, like they tell you, they give you an IP address 192.168, and we'll keep it simple in a Class C 1.32 CIDR 27, and they ask you how many host networks do you have using the following network ID and prefix length. Well, it's simple. You know that the first 3 octets are on. You got 32 bits in an IP address, right? So you got x.x.x, and then you have 3 more bits on. 1, 2, 3. Line 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's 8 bits, right? So you start counting. 2, 4, 8. That's 8 networks. 8 networks, and how many hosts? 2, 4, 8, 16, 32. Minus 2. On the host side, you always subtract 2. I'll repeat that again. On the host side, you always subtract 2. Okay, so what did I say? 2, 4, 8, 16, 32 minus 2 is 30. So we have 30 host. Point is that you always go to the subnet mask, all right, to find out where this magical line, as they call it now, all right, this magical line is, because that's going to give you, because of this bit value right here, it gives you the network increment. And what is that? We all should be, or if not, you're about to be, 128. No, let me make some space so it can look nice. 128, 64, 32, 16, 8, 4, 2, 1. These are your bit values, and they're the same on each octet. Okay, they're the same on each octet. So this guy right here is this guy right here. You see, 32, 32. So your network increments by 32. So if I wanted to, just by putting this line, I can just start incrementing 32, 64, 96, 128, 160, 192, 224. And that's your last network. Okay, that's your last network. That's how easy it is. Just you got to get this.
So yeah, I kind of want to chime in there too, especially for our listeners. And so there's something interesting going on here. When you're going through your process and learning subnetting, you're going to be getting formulas, 2N2 and these kind of things. And it's really important to understand that. It gives you the foundations of why things are the way they are. But having a method like this, and this may not be your method, but if you don't already have a fast method, this is a really simple one, and I suggest you take notes and you practice this, because you saw how easy it was for Lassus to draw a line. Is like the KISS method. It's just, you're right there, you have it, you're done. It's so important. You can see how, if you were sitting down trying to pull these numbers and plug them into a formula, you're going to go from spending, a minute and a half to 2 minutes to find the answer to 15 to 20 seconds, and that adds up. So just food for thought. If you don't have a fast method like this, think about using this method. And of course, you can always email myself or Laz, and we can get you set up with that. But go ahead, Laz. I mean, I just wanted to bring that to their attention. This is why it's important not to falter and get stuck on using the formula to answer questions when it's not needed.
No, most definitely. I mean, the formula is fine. If you're good with math, if you have a proven method already and you can do it under 30 seconds, hey, by all means, go for it.
Yeah.
If you already got it down pat and you can do it under 30 seconds, then fine. If you can't, like Joe said, try this one. I'm telling you. That's the reason I wrote a book on it, because I try to make things simple where you can do things on your fingers. And just as a tip, when you do go take your certification, obviously, you don't go in there with anything. You go in there with no watch, no anything. You turn everything in. They pat you down before you go in. No, I'm just kidding. But you go in there with a proctor. Okay? Once they sit you down, you have a grease pencil and some laminates. Write everything that's here, everything that's in your brain, regurgitate it onto the paper. And one of the things that I always tell everybody, write this down and then do an incrementation of 16, meaning starting from 0 all the way to 255. Increment 0, 16, 32, 48, 64, 80, 96, and so forth. Increment all the way down, because you know why? Cisco loves 16. Loves 16. And check this out. Okay, CIDR 12, CIDR 20, and CIDR 28. They all increment by 16. Okay, they all increment by 16.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a favorite number because it's the hardest number for people to like when they're incrementing. Because you can do, I mean, even you can multiply. If they give you an IP address, let's say, let's use this number right here. Let's make it really simple. 4, right? The bit value 4. What's 4 times 20? Is 80. Well, that's the 80 something. Done. You know what I mean? So if they give you an IP address, like, I don't know, 192.168. Oh my God. What did I just type there? 192.168.1. Let's just make it 82. There you go. And they say, well, what network does that IP address belong to? You're like, oh my God. And they don't give you a mask. Well, they don't give you a mask. You can do whatever. Let's say they give you, that would be a, let me see here. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 5 bits in, that's a 248. So that's 5 bits in, it's 29. Wrong way. So they give you that. So they give you, okay, what network is this IP address in? Or you're saying, wow, my line is right here. No, my line is, yeah, it's right there. Or it's 8. Okay, so what network is that in? Well, 8 times 10 is what? 80. So it's in the 80 subnet. Okay, I wanted to do 4. I didn't. Should have gone one more over. It would have been 30. It would have been 30. Then your line would have been here. You would say, okay, well, 4 times 20 is 80. And then you can say, okay, so it's 82. So you don't have to increment 4, 8, 12. You can
Right.
simply multiply. You can simply multiply. So it's math. Math is a game. All right. And there's many ways of doing it. But again, this right here, first of all, just finding the line. And then when you're given, if you're given something like this and they want to know what subnet it falls in, well, if you look at the mask and you draw your line, like in this case, it will be here, and you see it's 4, you're going to say, oh my God, I got to increment by 4. No, you don't. Multiply.
Right.
What number can multiply by 4 that'll get you to 82 without going over? 20. And that's a simple example, obviously. But believe me, it doesn't get any harder. The hard thing is not knowing where to start. That's the hard thing, not knowing where to start. But again, practice makes perfect. Joe knows I got my book out there.
Mm-hmm.
And again, like he said, you can email us and we'll be more than happy to help. But there's also websites out there. And if you don't mind, Joe, I would like to give them a website.
Oh, absolutely. Go for it. Yeah. Go ahead and give them a website.
It's subnetting. I think it's how you spell it. Google it. Subnetting questions.com. And they're not going to explain anything to you. They're just going to throw a bunch of subnetting questions at you. I can't stress enough, even though people have chastised me for it, IP, knowing your IP addressing is extremely important. And when I say IP addressing, I mean the whole kit and caboodle, okay? Because when I worked in telecommunications, we had spreadsheets upon spreadsheets, okay, of thousands of IP addresses. And I told them, I said, why you just don't put the network ID? The technician should be able to know, the switch guy should be able to know based on the mask what IPs he needs to put in there. All right? Because they were doing things mechanically. When you start doing things mechanically, you don't learn. That's why when Joe's talking about the concepts with the formula and the things that are going on, it's extremely important that you understand, that the bit values are up here, that you count by 2. If you're going to the left, it's for hosts. If you're going to the right, it's for networks. These are concepts that you understand. Because one thing I tell people, okay, I said up here somewhere, we're counting for hosts. Remember I said we had 8 networks, right? 2, 4, 8. Is that right or is that wrong? Back in my day, it would be 6. Because back in my day, routers did not understand the 0 network.
Yep.
So it really, back, if I were to answer a question back when I took the test, it would be 6 because you subtract 2 on both sides. Now, you have to pay attention to this little ditty, okay? Use the 0 network, okay? If it tells you use the 0 network, then you do not, and I'm going to put it in caps, do not subtract 2 on the network side. On the network side. Okay.
Yep.
So it's very important that you pay attention to the question. Go ahead, Joe. Go ahead.
Oh no, that's good. And I was just going to jump into the other side. It's not necessarily the technical side of things, but I don't know if you have any horror stories to share that would be interesting. But when I was going through college, I had a buddy, and he contributes. He failed his first attempt on the test, and he contributes that to lack of subnetting knowledge and speed. So what happened to him is he got into the test, and he got 2 subnetting questions back to back, and after that he froze and just completely. And the reason why he froze is not because he got the subnetting questions wrong. He got them right, but he was taking so much time, and then he thought to himself, "Oh my God, I'm taking this much time," and it just was like quicksand in his brain because he knew that he was taking X amount of time, and there was no way that So that's something that you want to avoid, and that's why I kind of stressed. I don't want to see people get into that horror story where you know the stuff, which is good. You've got over half the battle, but now it's like you need just to polish it. So I don't know if you had any similar students who expressed anything about subnetting or not, but that would be kind of interesting to talk about.
Oh, No, yes, I have plenty of students that, as a matter of fact, this one particular one stands out. Is when I taught actually in an academy. It wasn't a university or a college. It was a technical academy. This gentleman had come from Georgia. He had attempted the test one time and failed, and it was due to subnetting. So he came to our technical academy, and I taught him my method. He goes, "Well, I don't use that." I said, "Well, as long as you know what you're doing, I don't care."
Right.
Okay, I if you know what you're doing and you can get it done as quick as me, then we're good to go. So he didn't pay attention to the subnetting part. He just wanted to know all the other stuff. Oh, like okay. So it was a boot camp. So on Sunday he had to take the test. He took the test. He failed the subnetting part again. When I showed him again, I sent him notes, I sent him whatever. I helped him out again online because he was gone already. And when he took the test again, he used my method, and now he passed because he had the other stuff down pat.
Right.
It was just a subnetting thing, and he actually wrote me a letter thanking me. And I'm not trying to pat myself on the back. I'm not Billy Badass or anything like that. It's just the fact that this method is proven. It works. If yours works and you can do it under a minute, under 30 seconds, because like Joe said, you cannot waste time. Also, don't be looking at that clock. Pay attention to the question. Read the question, understand it, pick out the key topics, answer the question. Stop trying to troubleshoot. And I don't know if this is you where you've run into, Joe. The people, this is what I've noticed. The people that work in the field are the ones that fail the most because they have bad habits.
I was going to say exactly that. It becomes it's such a catered environment, and you kind of alluded to it earlier. But when you're out in the field, you go into a network closet and everything's labeled. It's so pristine, and so people get lazy, and that's what happens. So they're like, well, all the data's here. I can just plug it in, and that's you definitely don't want to put yourself in that. You're not learning. It's just kind of brain mush work.
Exactly.
So it's a big problem for sure. But I like kind of talking about these. It's also, I know it's a little bit of a deviation from subnetting, but how you talked about don't look at the clock when you're on the exam. That's key. And so I think we do have a subsequent shop talk scheduled for just about that topic, just surrounding the concepts of what it's going to be like for you when it comes time to take the actual test, and that's an important topic too. So I know we're about at 17 minutes, so I think probably getting a good place to wrap it up. But as always, I just want to stress this for all of our listeners is just remember you can always email us if you're struggling with submitting or any other topic. We have meetings just like this, and so obviously it's not recorded and it's not live, but it's a personal meeting. So if you're a student of Alpha Prep, if you're a student over for the networking doctors, you can email us. I don't care if you're a student of the networking doctors and you email me. We'll get you someone to sit down just like this, one to one, and vice versa. Laz will do the same. It's about learning, and we'll help you get that concept polished up. It's what we love to do. So if you're wanting to learn more about Laz's method, he's probably the better contact here. But it's effective and it works. So it's like if it's not broke, don't fix it. So if you want a tool that you know that you can learn and it's simple to learn, and it will get you to where you need to be to pass the test, I strongly urge you to shoot it in an email or comment down below when we post on YouTube. We'll try to get back to you that way. There's lots of ways to get a hold of us. So just any of those mediums, we'll get back to you and we'll help you out. So I'll close with that. I don't know if you had any closing thoughts, Les.
Well, not only as the I do, thank you, but not only is it going to be answers like this, because they may give you a topology and they'll give you a network ID, and then you need to figure out what the IP address is. So you need to know how to do that. And this is just IPv4. Uh, I don't know if Joe's going to do one on IPv6, but that's going to be real fun because that's hex numbers at that point.
Right.
But definitely, if you're given a topology, and I've seen this with students that go out in the workforce, they actually get a networking job, and one of them was a call center, and they gave him, hey, here you go, here's your network ID, here's your subnet mask, go knock yourself out. He didn't know where to start because he thought that subnetting was not important. And if you don't have IP addresses, you're not networking, okay? You need to know IP. It's very important. I think Joel stressed that enough already.
Yep. All right. Well, thanks again, everybody, for listening. If you haven't already, please like, share, and subscribe. And I know there's a notification button you have to click. We're trying to post these things out more regular now that the audience is growing. And so, also, if you have thoughts on topics you want us to cover, or if you want to be a guest, let us know as well, and we'd be happy to accommodate. So, thanks all, and we will see you next time.
Thank you.